So, so welcome, folks. Welcome to Certain Wednesdays. Certain Wednesdays with Matthew. Production by Matthew. I'm Matthew. It's not really a production, and it's not officially called Certain Wednesdays, but I like that Certain Wednesdays because I'm here certain Wednesdays, and I am not certain about much at all. But we're here practicing nonetheless, and thank you. Thanks for yeah, saying hi. Lovely to see you, your names, and we'll sit and see what happens. Whenever it would get real uh, hot or cold in the meditation hall, the teacher would say, as we sat there, teacher would say, in the summer, the Buddha sweats. In the winter, he shivers. And so if the temperature, as a number of people said, if it's not at the kind of set point for your body, just take stock of how it affects your heart mind. Any subtle bracing, practice releasing that. It's not that conditions have to be just right for us to surrender, let go. They're never just right for that. So we actually leverage the imperfection as a motivation to stop fighting. And when we stop fighting, we become porous to the Dharma. We don't have to say okay to everything forever, but for right now, we give permission for all the conditions that comprise this moment to be as they are. All the loose ends of any human life, everything that could get better, we give permission for it to be as it is. And we know that we've actually given deep permission for that which is to be as it is when that which is changes, softens. The permission reshapes the constellation of phenomena of our life. Just fill your body with awareness. Less like we're pouring the awareness from our head into our body, and more like our awareness blooms out of our body. And clinging carries a burden of tension with it, a kind of whirlpool of tension, energy swirling. So we relax. We unify the field of our body. Settle into the juicy aliveness of the moment, undefended by our stories. To pay attention is to pay attention to change. So we practice not pushing or pulling on anicca, impermanence. We practice not seeking a place outside the flow of anicca, but finding ourselves within it. If there is no place to stand, you might as well just fall. we fall more and more deeply into presence, less and less baggage, fewer and fewer ways for the attention to snag like a hangnail on fabric, but on phenomena. Okay, so it's good to sit with you. Um, Thank you for the questions. Great questions. I appreciate just seeing what's on people's mind. Last time, if you weren't here, I chatted a link in to submit anonymous questions and um, got a bunch. And yeah, great questions about free will and the self and consciousness and awareness. And some of the questions are above my pay grade. Some will lead me very deep into nerd territory, and we might not come out, and we might not be wiser if we did get out. So I got to be selective in what I pick up, but I do really, those are a lot of my questions. It's on my mind. And so even if I'm not answering the questions, it's informing what I'm thinking about, how I'm thinking about this group. So thank you, and we'll have time to do more of those. I'll pick up more that have been submitted. So the question that I selected, somebody just cut right to the chase. What's the best way to overcome clinging? And that's really the question, right? Joseph Goldstein, I remember some years ago, was asked to sum up his decades of practice in a sentence, and his response was simply the mind that's not clinging to anything. That's how he summed up everything. And if you're not clinging, right, how could anything really be a problem? How, if you're not clinging, could greed possibly gain a foothold? How could hatred gain a foothold, right? Hatred, greed, these are not possible in the wake of letting go, but love is. And that kind of asymmetry is of interest. So this is a critical question, but in some ways I can't really answer, anyone who boldly pronounces like, this is how you let go. Here's the algorithm. Here are the 3 steps to letting go. You can know for sure that person is a scam artist. It's like in the trenches of our experience, we're all going to have to wrestle with that. We always have to wrestle with it. It's not like we know how to let go and then we just keep doing it the rest of our life. And in one sense, maybe we say, that we want to be careful in the question not to overestimate the place of willfulness, as if there are choices of how to let go, and it's just that we need to pick the right strategy. And in a sense, the kind of willfulness is a reiteration of the clinging rather than its solution. Okay, so that's maybe the preamble, but enough of me dodging a very good question. And the first thing that came to mind really is that to know that certain choices guarantee clinging, you know, that certain investments in relationships, in child, in a cause, ethical cause, like it pretty much guarantees some measure of clinging. I don't think that's exactly can be free of clinging. It's like the upstream decisions guarantee our fate, And then the question is like, can you actually consent to that clinging? Can you consent to that suffering? And it doesn't mean we can't work to free ourselves up to some extent, but the fantasy of like freedom given those upstream choices, it's not realistic. The way we invest, the way I've invested various ways. Um, and so we actually open to that. Okay, this is part of the contract. Shantideva said, just as no one thought, may I now be born. No one thinks, may I now get angry. And we could add, no one ever thought, may I now cling. May I now suffer. May I now be born. May I now cling. Clinging, in other words, arises out of many causes and conditions. And it's been reinforced in the behavioral sense. It's been reinforced in the sense that it's brought some rewards. It kind of works. Clinging kind of works. Some of the time, a little. And that kind of reinforcement schedule, like that is very problematic. That really encourages the behavior, the repetition. It doesn't quite work, but it usually works at least a little. Sometimes it works really well, our clinging. And maybe it's a little bit like gambling or something. It's like we know that playing slot machine is not like a strategy for getting rich. But the casino programs the slots so that we get just enough reinforcement to keep playing, right? And of course, everyone's heard that one story about that person, that friend's sister-in-law who won big, right? And so it's like gets reinforced. And because clinging kind of works, it's hard to actually believe that we've got to experiment with letting go. And so letting go, you know, it's hard, and I'm very suspicious of a kind of instruction on how to let go because it strikes me that letting go is sort of like the simultaneous expression of many of the paramis, the 10 perfections. That's uh, that's why no one can tell you how to do it, because it's like you can't just tell somebody how to be, you know, patient and equanimous and have resolve and all at once, right? So the paramis are considered a kind of description created not by the Buddha but by others of the Buddha's beautiful qualities, right? And and so just like looking at the list of, the paramis, the ones that have been highlighted, non-clinging, letting go, it involves a lot. Renunciation, nekkhamma. Um, Letting go is to relinquish. We're unclenching our fist, right? We're foregoing some measure of the pleasure that clinging can deliver, right? Anger with its honeyed tip and poisoned root, the Buddha said, right? And so, okay, to let go of the poison, we actually have to let go of the honey too, the sweetness. Virya, energy, another parami, like clinging is painful, but it's often actually the path of least resistance, right? My clinging does not seem to ask much of me. It's water rolling down a hill, right? And so to actually change that, to change that habit and to go against the stream, that takes energy and aditana, resolve, commitment, a deep commitment to stay the course, you know. Clinging is part of its problem is its persistence, you know, its persistence. Not so much the peak intensity of one given moment, it's just the persistence, the return of the longing. And patience, patience to bear with the process, willing to plant seeds and not insist upon harvesting now. And maybe lastly, equanimity, you know, this kind of practice of wrapping the whole realm of pleasant and unpleasant with kind of the space of okayness. And so, yeah, in letting go of clinging, we will be asked to have equanimity with intense feeling, intense feeling. A lot of feeling gets released in the kind of gesture of letting go, letting go. Uh, Sometimes to let go, we have to do something new. We have to ritualize some aspect of what's come and gone, or sometimes we actually have to find something new to love, you know, and this has kind of echoes of Freud, you know, it's like to let go, the energy that was invested in one thing gets reinvested somewhere else. That's actually how we let go. So sometimes it's not this pure internal inside job, you know. And letting go is about, I would say, the wholesome unpleasant, the wholesome unpleasant. The reward, of course, is very pleasant, but the process of letting go is about the wholesome unpleasant. And for the wholesome unpleasant not to devolve into unwholesomeness, we often need to kind of leaven the letting go with some pleasantness. We need to find some, you know, something soothing, some sense of refuge, some sense of pleasantness to make more space for the unpleasantness as we practice. And of course, there are certain things that I don't know, maybe it's like you don't let go of them. You find a way for love to grow alongside the pain. You know, some people, certain losses, certain rooms I've been in where somebody describes to me a loss, one of those cardinal kind of losses, and my thought is not letting go. Exactly. It's living alongside the absence, you know, letting that grow one's love. So I offer this for your consideration. Please pick up what's useful, leave the rest behind. And I will be away next week. We won't be class next week. back on the 17th, and so and you can always check IMC's calendar. It's posted there, um, and look forward to regathering. Okay, thank you all.